Okay, we're
Greetings. Yes. Whoa. Look at that. On the dot. 9:30,
on the dot.
which is good because we didn't do anything last week. Right on the dot.
Yeah.
How are you
Everybody is dying to know our hot takes on
Oh.
the various things.
They sure are. The internet was just not the same without us for a whole week. I get it. I feel it. But
The
You know
internet
what?
is in an uproar after notable podcasters Dan and Dave neglected to give us their opinions. The stock market is crashing.
dogs and cats living together. It was awful. But here we are, back at it.
Yeah.
So this is weird. We made a joke 2 weeks ago about Michael Nesmith, and then he died like 4 days ago. Did you see that he died?
Yes. I thought that
Yeah.
was funny.
I saw that he
We
died,
spoke it into existence.
and I was like, for a second there, I was like, did I like subconsciously realize he just died? And then I brought it up on the podcast on accident. I was like, no, that's not right, because that was like 2 weeks ago. Wow, that's so.
No, I choose to believe that we spoke it into existence. So
I don't want that kind of
with the
power.
power of
That's
our
not-
aura,
Oh,
it's like children of the
boy.
corn or something.
Oh man,
all your secrets.
I don't like that kind of. I don't like that kind of power. I don't want to have. I don't want that.
It's like
on
a
me.
Twilight Zone. Oh, speaking of which, this Twilight Zone reboot that they did, like that, what's his name? I forget who it was. Jordan Peele, I think, like is producing or whatever.
Oh,
It's not very good, except for the
Okay.
the first episode is really good. Camille Nanjiani, you know that guy? You'd recognize his face. Anyway,
Probably.
he was on. I think he was on Silicon Valley. I don't know. So he plays this comedian who like.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to give it away, but it's one of the sort of classic Twilight Zone morality tale. People start disappearing. Anyway,
Okay.
it's pretty cool. You should check it out.
All right, I will. I also need to find that 80s movie. Right? Was that you telling me about that?
Probably.
There's like a 4 vignette kind of.
Oh yeah,
thing.
the 80s Twilight Zone. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And like someone died on the film.
Right.
Right. So either way, I gotta find
Films
that.
with tragic backstories are tight.
Yes, right. Was Spielberg involved in that? You said?
Yes.
Yeah, even better. So yeah, I gotta get on this. I gotta find that.
Yeah.
I think I was telling Sally about that, and she's like, "I'm not interested in watching that." I was like, "I didn't say you were. I'm just telling you. I'm gonna try to find it."
I was just trying to be a freaking Monday morning conversation starter.
Yeah. It's better to burn
I
out
won't-
than fade away.
I won't share my anecdotes with you anymore.
Oh yeah, well, it's fine. Yeah. But if you're not gonna watch the show, I'm at least gonna tell you about it. Jeez.
I'll report back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Omicron variant has now killed exactly as many people as Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Gosh, we've killed more people than the Omicron variant. That's not good.
Who's we?
You and me. One monkey. He's down. That's what I'm saying. Back to the. There was I didn't watch that, but like there's the like Alec Baldwin did like an interview, which seems like a poor decision from.
There's
a
no
legal
way that's going to go
standpoint.
well.
That can't be good. But I just saw like screenshots of him crying, which whatever. But still, that seems like a bad idea on an active investigation of you shooting
Every
somebody.
additional piece of information that comes out about it makes him look worse.
It really does. Yeah. But like does that lead to him being like he did it on purpose or just like gross negligence? That's what I'm still I don't know.
There's a wide
haven't-
chasm between gross negligence and doing it on purpose.
Right. But
Now,
I don't know.
maybe, people are saying like maybe he was angry, like he's known for being kind of hot-tempered, so maybe he was
I have noticed
screwing
that.
around, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come out.
I'm still rewatching 30 Rock. I still like it. So
It's a good
I
show.
don't know. It really is. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Yeah, the Omicron. Omicron. We'll go with Omicron. No, go.
Omicron.
Oh yeah, that sounds more formidable. I have to sneeze, so I'm gonna keep talking until I sneeze.
Do it.
Crap.
Push it out.
I can't. I can't
Make it happen.
I can't make.
Come here. Come here.
Well, now I can't do it.
Oh, it went away.
Pressure.
There you go.
There it is. I don't know.
My mom had this problem in the 90s. She blew her eardrum out because for some reason, I remember growing up, every time my mom would sneeze, she would go, I'm like, Mom, why do you do that? I don't know. She did it because my grandmother did it. I don't know. Just mother always. She didn't feel like it was polite to sneeze in front of people or something. Like, I don't know. So in the meantime, everybody's sneezing and they're just holding in all this pressure. Well, sure enough, like in the 90s, she got this really bad head cold one time and she was trying to blow her nose and she like blew out an eardrum and that ear hasn't been the same ever since. So like every time Levi gets in the car sometimes and he's like, I'm like, no, don't be, you let that sneeze out.
I don't even.
You got to equalize your head. You don't want to burst your eardrum like your grandma.
Yeah, I don't even know if I could hold a sneeze in if I tried. Because I never tried. But
yeah, I'd probably like shit my pants or something. Like I did it. Oh no.
Oh no. I have so many regrets, but I
yeah.
Was it? It's like this is stupid. Have you watched Scrubs? Like, you ever watched that show?
Not recently.
Oh, I mean, but you've seen it. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
So like, that's one of the shows I've watched probably like through like 12 times, and it's just like one stupid little throwaway joke, and it's just like he's talking about Elliot. And he's like, he has a long list of things. She's like, she's the only person I know that sneezes with her eyes open, and she's just like, achoo. It's like, it's so stupid. But it's like this stupid little 10 seconds. It's like a little Family Guy like cutaway dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb
What was
joke.
the one where they did like something about like, yeah, the power of love doesn't cure people or whatever, and then he like daydreams and it's like he's coding stat. Let's get him some kittens or something like that. And then they bring this
Yeah,
whole
something
box
like
of
that.
kittens and they dump it on the patient. And he like wakes up.
It's like yeah. A lot of good cutaways in that show. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that. What
You
is it
should.
on any of the services or anything?
Hulu, I believe. I think it's on Hulu.
Okay.
I only have Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus, so it's not on Disney Plus, and I'm pretty sure it's not on Netflix. So I'm thinking Hulu.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my recommendation for the week. Everybody should watch Scrubs before it's deemed moderately inappropriate and you can't watch it anymore. Which is really funny because, like, what's his face? Zach Braff and Donald Faison are like actual friends in life, I think, from the show. Probably from the show, but they are actual friends in life.
Yeah.
But like you see like some of the stuff they post and stuff, it's like generically 2020 or 2021 woke, kind of celebrity kind of stuff. You're like, your show was incredibly offensive.
They're trying to head it off.
And monstrously stereotypical and hilarious in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe so. But they won't be canceled. They'll be fine. I don't think.
They just got to lay low.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Steve Carell, I think, was in an interview, said, he's like, well, we could never make The Office today. Just because the level of stuff that Michael Scott did and said, especially in some of those earlier seasons.
And that's the stupidest thing, though, because like that's the point. Like his buffoonery is on display, and it's like level 11. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, he only really became a sympathetic character later. At the beginning, he's really detestable.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that makes the show almost. I think that's what makes it work because you have this charisma, but he's also detestable, and you're like, I don't know what I think about that. It's like watching a Martin Scorsese movie, like Wolf of Wall Street or something, where you're like you're enjoying watching the charisma of all these characters while simultaneously knowing that they're all pieces of shit. It's
Excellent point. I don't have. There's no good segue here. I'm just gonna jump into my question for you.
Okay.
I mentioned it to you. So, did you follow the Jesse Smollett thing to any degree? Like, I only did very little bit. Like,
to a little degree, not to a huge degree.
Right. So, like, as long as we're both on the same page. So, guys out there claims he's the victim of a hate crime in the middle of like the coldest day in Chicago history, and turns out to be a complete fake. And he actually hired the guys that did it.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So, like, he had this whole. It's in between. What is it? So that was the winner after George Floyd. Must have been.
I thought it was early 2019. No. It was before the Rona.
Was it?
Right? Let me look it up real quick.
That's a good
I just
question.
January 2019. I didn't realize it was that far back.
Wow. Okay. And then George Floyd was in that fall. I mean, it's in the spring.
No,
That
wait a
was
minute.
during-
No, but that was beginning of 2020 after the maybe this
Yeah.
article's wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
When was it? Dead air. Yeah, January
Yeah.
2019. So that was a whole year before the Rona started happening, and a year and change before George Floyd.
No, because it was 2020. It was this fall. It was fall of winter of 2020. The early winter of 2020, spring of 2020 was COVID.
Yeah, but I'm saying Juicy Smollett, or however you say his name was January.
January. Oh gosh,
it was a whole year before that.
That was a whole year. Wow, that doesn't seem like that was that long ago. Well, okay.
Yeah, time flies when you're being annoyed.
Yeah, time flies when you're in like a weird pandemic lockdown. So either way, so this is not a precursor, but still right dead in the middle of like stupid racial tensions and all that shit in North Carolina, not North Carolina, in United States, but
we were just coming off the wave of the Me Too thing. That was like most of 2018, right? And the confirmation of Kavanaugh and all that stuff. So
there was like a weird string of hoaxy hate crimes too that were coming around that time.
It just comes from the media wanting to turn every possible. I mean, bad things happen all the time, right? Like people get beat up, people get murdered and stuff. And so when you have a media that's willing to fudge the facts in order to turn it into a narrative, then they're going to manufacture a crisis, right? Like it was the same. Yeah. It was right around the same time. Remember those kids that were at that the State of the Union or something? No, it was a March for Life in D.C. And there was a guy who was like dancing around, and then all these people were like saying these kids were like horrible MAGA people and stuff, and they were getting them all.
Covington Catholic.
Covington, that was right. Yeah,
Covington Catholic kids, right? So exactly. So it was that same kind of vein, right? Whatever. So like the media jumped all over it. The screenshots are breathtaking now, and you go back and read them all from like celebrities and politicians and like Kamala Harris, and you're like. This obvious like AOC and all that stuff, just like this obvious hate crime. Anyone who stands against this or says anything against it is obviously a racist and is supporting the white supremacist patriarchy in our country that systematically oppresses the black man and the gay man and blah 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 blah. And it was all fake. But I don't even care. All right, so good. We're on the same page. We know about it. But like, I don't even really want to talk. I mean, we can talk about that in general. But like, I'm just interested in what you think about hate crimes in general. And my question for you is faking a hate crime a hate crime? And B, what about hate crimes in general? What do you think?
Well, B has to come first, right? So
sure. That's what I wanted to lead to. So
I think
go ahead.
The element of hate, I think, is overstated in the sense that at the end of the day, a crime is a crime, right? Correct. Assault or murder or even if you're verbally assaulting somebody on the street, I mean, that's mean, right? So once you get into the because you meant it with racial or homophobic overtones, therefore it's worse. It is worse in some way. Like it's a different kind of detestable, like as a human being, but I don't know if the law really, I think it's only, you're opening yourself up for a really big can of worms by now you're getting into like, they meant this, right? And they actually felt this, and this makes it worse. And all right, well, now you're just in the business policing people's thoughts.
Yep.
Right. So it's not to say that I'm not trying to defend the actions of a person who does some white supremacist or anti-Semitic people. Obviously, you wouldn't defend those people. Right. But it's a really weird, murky area that the law is not nuanced enough to do. The law is a bunch of big fat thumbs, right? And or it's like trying to type on a keyboard with mittens. Like that's what the law can do. So I think trying to get into the nuances of what people feel. No, murder is a murder, right? Premeditated. Right. You can look at that. Like the different levels of murder, like manslaughter and murder 3 and all that kind of stuff. Right. So with that said, if we downplay the level of hate crime, then therefore faking a hate crime is more just about like what in the case of this guy, like he wasted the state's resources. Manpower that could have been used towards protecting other people, right? Because it's not like Chicago has all these cops sitting around with nothing to do, right? So now, if you want to say that hate crime, we should absolutely treat hate crimes as a very serious deal, then that makes faking one even worse, right? once you've established
would-
that the element of hate, makes a murder or an assault even worse. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like say if you had a society, some sort of weird, backwards, horrible society that decided that rape like wasn't a big deal. Oh, it's just part of life, whatever. Then if a woman makes up a story like, oh, Sven over there assaulted me, well, then it's like, okay, well, your society doesn't treat these things like a big deal anyway. So what's the big deal for faking it, right? But if once a society deems, oh no, this is inexcusable and horrible, then the burden of proof is higher, right? So.
Yeah. No, I think we're generally in probably pretty good agreement there. Yeah. So like the idea of hate crime, like you said, it's thought police on top of a crime, which is a silly notion because you could be a racist, hateful son of a bitch, not do any harm to anybody, and then you could be the racist son of a bitch and then do harm to somebody, and only one of those is extra illegal, but the first one's not illegal at all, which makes no sense. Like you said, like it's different with murder though, because like intent for murder, because there's accidental death and manslaughter and things like that. So we break that up for a reason. But that's not the same as just saying, oh well, he hated the guy, so he killed him. But I don't know. But you have to hate somebody. I don't know. I think you don't have to hate somebody to kill somebody. You just be a freaking sociopathic, crazy person and go murder a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, they're all bad. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
What's the difference? I mean, what's the difference between like hating? It's like say you hate somebody who sleeps with your wife and then you murder that person, versus hating somebody because they're from another country and you murder that person. In either case, you still murdered.
I think maybe it might stem from what a general misconception of what justice is, and not this tied into, but it's sort of the same thing. It's just like when you start throwing adjectives on things like social justice, climate justice, racial justice. Okay, are you talking about justice or not? Because that's a thing, and it's a very specific thing. So either why you have to tack on more to it, it muddles the issue and scares things. So like if there's in a murder, if you're looking for justice in a murder, I guess the theoretical retributive side or the justice side is you take a life for a life because you can't pay back that, or you could never really pay back a family. So therefore it's appropriate to either take someone's life via prison for the rest of their life, or you literally criminal or actual killing of them, or capital punishment. That's the term I'm looking for.
Yeah. Justice is a real hard word to define.
Sure, I guess so. But I'm just saying from a criminal liability standpoint, like if someone steals from you, the right thing to do is to get your stuff back or to get paid back. And that person is there. And if there's a punitive thing on top of that, maybe. But to be made whole is kind of an idea for, I think, was an appropriate kind of thing for justice. Like it's not fair to go, all right, you stole my car, so therefore you get life in prison. I'm like, no, I want my car back, or I want you to pay me back. And then if you end up getting 30 days in jail or a year in jail because you're a car thief, I guess that's fair. But
yeah, I think it's complicated.
No, just I guess to flesh that out, when it's to like a crime of hate, well, I don't know, like if you still committed the crime, so like either I stole from somebody because I hate them, I punched them in the face, I murdered them. So the answer to that is, I stole, I give them back the money. If I hurt them, pay for their medical bills, and maybe I get a fine or I get in jail for a little bit. If I kill them, I lose my life or I go to jail. But none of that has any. But how I felt about it has no bearing on justice.
Right, because if you say crime plus hate equals hate crime, and crime plus normal criminal circumstances, then it's like, all right, well, what if you cancel the equation out like in algebra? All right, you cancel out crime on each side. Now you're left with hate and nothing. So that means there must be some sort of level of hate in and of itself is a crime.
Exactly.
Right? So say murder with no hate is 10 years in prison. Murder plus hate equals 15 years. That means hate by itself equals 5 years. So now we're outlawing hate, right?
Right.
I'm not saying hate's good, but like I don't trust the government to handle that properly.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody to handle that properly. Yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
Well, plus the idea of justice as meaning equating to restoration is a complicated one, because you can extrapolate that to mean whatever you want, right? So yeah, somebody steals a car and they go, okay, well, yeah, I want my car back, right? Or what? That's easy to figure out when you're talking about a tangible thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard. Okay, now you assault someone. All right, well, there's medical bills, you pay for that, but then there's like emotional pain and suffering, and then there's the simple fact that you just can't go around hurting people, right?
Is there really emotional pain and suffering?
Well, it depends on what the hurt is, like
It depends. Yeah. Either way, go ahead. Yeah.
so.
But you can still I mean, but
And then
either
you
way,
murder
there's
someone. How do you
quantifying it.
quantify a murder, right? Do you
I
like
agree.
go to an insurance company, look like some sort of actuarial tables?
Actually terrible. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, quality of years lost and stuff like that, like they do with. So, and then there's like, I've heard a lot of people like when, what was it? Oh, about the guy in South Carolina, Ahmaud Arbery or whatever. They were like, oh, the guys were convicted, but real justice is about restoration. Like, yeah, okay, but what does restoration mean? When somebody's murdered, you're not getting that person back. So there is no possible restoration. So now people will extrapolate that to being all sorts of larger societal things. And, if somebody's upset, I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, newsflash, a murderer getting convicted and going to prison doesn't actually make it better. I mean, it helps, right? It helps better than the way the person goes free, but it still doesn't bring that person back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's just part of life.
But that still is, I agree you can't bring that person back, especially in that case. So like, but those people are gone for the rest of their lives. So that is as much restorative justice you can do.
Yeah.
And be punitive at the same time. So that's what I'm saying. And like, but the thing of the restorative part of it is also a just punishment part of it too. It's opposite side of the coin. Like I said, so it's like if you steal a car, for you to have to pay recompense to the person you stole the car from, either to give them the car back, plus time, plus whatever, plus interest, whatever it works out to be, is fair to that person. But it's also fair to you and it would be unfair to you to be like, all right, well, that's the death penalty. Like, well, no, that's absurd. You can't go that far.
No, but you don't understand. It was a 1970 Mustang. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Does that make it worse than if it was like an 85 Pinto?
Yes, it does. I would guess so. Yeah, if they took it.
Well, okay, in monetary value, obviously one's worth more than the other. But
but that's all I'm saying. But yeah, I agree. And then, so you're right. It is slippery because then you can start to get into this like, well, societal stuff. I'm like, oh God, and that's kind of where hate crimes come in. I guess they're like, it's in a society that doesn't punish that kind of thing or overlooks a quote unquote hate crime, is a racist society. I guess, because that's I mean, but because you can hear people say what we're talking about now, be like, well, that's ridiculous. Hate crimes are obviously a thing. Like, well, no, they're not. I mean, they are. People recognize them, but they're not. It's not really a thing. So,
well, I mean, it's a thing in the sense of you can definitely classify. There's a certain type of mentality, right? Obviously, a hate-motivated murder or assault is different than your garden variety mugging or a crime of passion or something like that. So,
passion crime.
It's worth considering in the terms of like the psychology of it and trying to understand why these things happen. But that's a different than saying, oh, this makes it obviously worse. They should have different sentences and or there should be a lower burden of proof, as is in the case of like it's certain type of things where things getting tried in the media, before any sort of due process has happened. Now all of a sudden you got all this stuff going on, right? So
yeah,
go ahead.
No. Go, finish.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Derek Chauvin would be a great example.
Right.
Not that he's a great example of anything, but most people would say, oh, it's worse because of the racial environment surrounding it, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but the problem is, like in the trial, they never brought up anything about him. There was no
race wasn't discussed at all.
Yeah, there was no Twitter posts or no like hey, this one time in a bar, he was kind of coming up to me, he's like, hey, the problem with our society, like they didn't bring that up, right? And in that sense, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, yeah, if he murdered a person, if he was clearly outside of his jurisdiction of appropriate force from the law, and he was depraved indifference to another human being suffering, setting aside all of the stuff, whether he was high on fentanyl or whatever, so like it wasn't really an element there. And of course, but the narrative is that it's endemic of a larger thing.
Right.
So once you remove the burden of proof for it, now you can it just becomes a boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah. So endemic of a larger thing. So then let me ask you this then. So back to question A. So is it a hate crime to fake a hate crime? So granted, in this case, there was no individual person he pointed the finger at and said they did it. I mean, he did, but it was a fake person, just a boogeyman person. Like someone did it, some guy. It wasn't like this guy specifically. So given the context of hate crimes in the way our culture currently defines them and puts weight on them, if you were to fake a hate crime, that would be a hate crime, would it not?
If the definition of hate crime is a crime motivated by some sort of prejudice or hatred of a group or demographic, then yeah. If faking a crime is a crime, then faking a crime for hate-related reasons would classify.
I would think that would still be classified as a hate crime because you have to drum up those feelings in everybody, because that's what it comes down to. The hate crime is, oh, this is worse because he had this thought, so therefore I extrapolate to the greater society that this is a negative thing to allow, or it's a positive thing to punish on a larger scale. So if you are perpetrating fake hate crimes, that's a hate crime, I feel like. I'm not sure if I'm fleshing this out well enough.
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, if we allow that here is an umbrella of criminal activity
that's what I mean.
that is worse because it is motivated on hate, then yeah, obviously, I mean, it's fraud or disorderly conduct or whatever it is that the name of that felony was. But
it's hate fraud. That's stupid. I'm just saying, but like,
it's kind of like defining terrorism.
Yeah.
You know, like we know who the terrorists are because, you know, we think that they look like, you know, people from True Lies or something, you know, people who are like sending videos to news stations and holding people hostage, or maybe they're Ted Kaczynski or they're IRA people who, you know, usually it's considered, it's organized violence,
right,
to achieve a political end. Right. So, you know, why doesn't a BLM riot that destroys businesses count as terrorism? You know, people will say, well, you know, it's just, you know, crimes of opportunity or whatever. Yeah, well, it's still, I mean, it's not very organized and it's not very effective, right. But, you know, and it's, you know, say you got a protest of 1,000 people, and in that are all just holding signs and just, you know, exercising their rights. And then you have 10 people who are dicks who want to smash up a Macy's. Right. You know, would we classify them as terrorists, you know, because they're trying to achieve a political end?
Yeah.
You know, through violence.
It depends who's prosecuting. So, yeah.
And it depends on it. I mean, it's like you classify like the IRA as terrorists, but like, you know, Ireland has some legitimate beefs with England. You know, does the legitimacy of the gripe make something more or less terroristic?
No. Nope. No, of course not. Well, whatever. Yeah, no. I mean, it's just like,
okay, so that means that in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker he's a terrorist. You know,
sure. The American revolutionaries, terrorists.
Yeah,
definitely insurrectionists. Definitely.
But if you win, then you look back and call them patriots.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Semantics, man. It's all very frustrating. But like, yeah, you're right though. Small little portion of BLM people attacking could be classified terrorism, was never a discussion. Small portion of MAGA people at a rally bust up and get into the Capitol building. That's terrorism and insurrection. Now you had BLM people destroying courthouses and police stations
for months.
That's not terrorism for months, multiple cities, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to normalize the idea that people can fall into multiple categories.
That's probably true.
You can be a terrorist, but be kind of a crappy terrorist. Right? Terrorism doesn't mean that you're like Hans Gruber or something. You know what I mean? Where you've got this sort of dastardly plan. You know, well, he wasn't even really a terrorist, but you know what I mean? Like, you could be a terrorist, but also an idiot, which is what those January 6 guys were.
Correct.
Right? So.
Well, granted, so is most probably those BLM people that were Molotov cocktailing freaking courthouses and Macy's and people's houses. You could be like
Yeah.
the crap those Libyans in Back to the Future that were
Yeah.
duped by a pinball machine bomb.
Yeah, crashing a Volkswagen bus into a kiosk.
Like a a photo hut.
Yeah.
The Libyans. But yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, multiple categories. Yeah, again, so
Everything I learned about modern terrorism, I learned from 1980s movies.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the ease people slide into binary thinking is probably just that everyone's into that too easy. Nuance, man. There's some nuance in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But, well, that was really all I wanted to talk about with hate
What
crimes.
do you think motivated this guy? I mean, is he just like bonkers?
It had to have been just like a publicity thing, dude. There's no way.
Well, what did he think was going to happen? He thought that nobody was going to look into it.
I guess. I think it was just I would, if I'm just guessing, I would think it's just attention seeking.
So wait a minute, did he actually get beat up?
No. I mean, those guys might have roughed him up a little bit.
Okay, so I'm kind of an idiot. I should really research more because it wasn't like he just sort of like he walked, like Fight Club or something. Like he beat himself up and then he walked into an ER. It's like, oh, these guys in red hats. So he just reported it later.
Yeah, I reported it that night, or maybe the next day. No, it was that night because like there was reported when he still had the noose and he still had his Subway sandwich after getting jumped and hate crimed and almost lynched in the middle of a like negative 30-degree weather storm. So like that was the big joke with like some Subway stuff. But like, yeah, no, he didn't like have to go to the hospital or anything. He wasn't like physically really injured. So it was all just. It's
like he's an actor, man. At least commit to it,
Come on, man. Yeah,
get a couple of raspberries or something.
Yeah, take one for the team, dude. If you got to go through the trouble of getting some guys to fake jump you, let them punch you in the mouth a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I didn't watch the trial, so I don't know if they speculated or found anything that why he did it. I don't think they did, but I mean, I didn't know who the dude was, but also I didn't watch the show.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show.
Whatever show he was on. And then I found out later he was in Mighty Ducks, but who cares? Like, but that's the thing.
I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know. He had to be thinking like, oh man, times are bad in this country. What we need to kick it up a notch, of the movement, the momentum that's happening. So,
well, maybe it was just, it was motivated by that, man. It might have just been
or maybe it wasn't even about a larger movement, which may or may not, which has a grain of truth in there. Maybe it's like he just was like, all right, hey, here's a wave. I can ride this, and then he could get his own little spot at like the Emmys and be like, he's so brave and overcome adversity. Get a nice little montage going,
I wouldn't rule that out.
Or he gets to play himself in the movie of his own life.
Ooh, the Jussie Smollett story played by Jussie Smollett. There was a couple. Gosh, I should have done some research here on some fake hate crime stuff that had come up. But like, it's a lot of it's like what was happening. I remember this. Like there was like people were like, oh my god, someone painted a swastika on like the student center at some school somewhere, and then it turns out it's like just some douchebag liberal person trying to like rally some stuff up or
right. There was another one. There was somebody where some sort of cultural center. I don't know if it was a Black History Center or something like that. Maybe Native Americans. I don't know. Some sort of something like that. And they found like a bag of shit on the doorway outside of it, and they're like, "We're investigating to figure out the hate." And it turns out that it was a blind kid with a service dog, and they had instructed the blind persons who had service dogs, like if your dog shits, put it in a bag and take it to the nearest building, which just so happened to be this place. And so they went all around and thinking it was like this whole like motivated thing. There was like a task force to investigate the whole thing, and turns out it was just a blind kid.
Well, like that's pretty good. It's like out of an Adam Sandler movie. But like years before that, there was like the Duke Lacrosse thing, where that girl accused those guys of like raping her and like abusing her at a party, which everyone just took hook, line, and sinker. Everyone's like,
especially in my circles, all the UNC people were like, oh, we hate Duke. Obviously they did that shit. I'm like, look, this is people's lives, not a basketball game.
Yeah, man, but like that was jumped on and harped on real quick, and none of that happened.
Remember the thing with the NASCAR guy? This is like 2017.
Yeah, was that before Jussie Smollett? Yeah. They thought
That
it was
was
a noose.
before. Yeah, he thought he found a
Yeah.
noose. Turns out it was just like a sheepshank knot or something like that, like
Yeah.
tied in inside the little
I remember when
garage.
that happened because I went to my shop and I opened up my door. I was like, "Oh, look, there's a noose here. That's what we pull down." So it's just like,
Call the law.
yeah. So there was a couple. There was within recent memory a few of those just stupid overreactions of quote unquote hate crimes. Now, one of them was actually fake. That guy was just an idiot. That NASCAR driver, which I wasn't even aware there's black NASCAR drivers. Good for that guy. But it's like a black hockey player. Like, yeah, sure you're there, but who cares? You know, whatever. You're an anomaly. Good for you. Good for you.
Like Larry Bird.
Hey, Larry Bird. I was sending some highlight reels, man.
Oh no, he was a beast. No question.
Yeah. Plus, I'm biased. I'm from New England. This was back when I cared about the NBA. I liked Larry Bird. So,
Was he from Boston?
no, Indiana, I believe.
He looks like a Midwestern.
Oh, he's a Midwest.
He doesn't
girl.
look like somebody from Boston.
No. He's a country bumpkin all the way, but he could throw the ball around, man. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Either way, it's weird. Like, and I really like the hate crime thing. It's stupid, and it doesn't bother me on that much of a. I mean, I guess it bothers me when there's extra sentencing for it, but like,
It bothers me in the sense that it seems insensitive and kind of insulting to victims of regular crimes.
no, that's true too.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Say you were a person who's somebody in your family was assaulted or murdered. And they're like, okay, yeah, well, what are we going to do? We can't find the guy. I got no evidence. We're just,
Right.
And then like some other person over here gets murdered, and because, check boxes of whatever demographic groups, all of a sudden you're getting the FBI and the Justice Department, everybody's investigating, you got the news cameras. And you're like, wait, hold on.
That's a really good
I
point.
lost my
Yeah.
kid. Why does that not matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the
So it's not that treating hate motivated crimes is not as heinous. Like that's bad. Obviously, that's good, right? Like we don't want those things. But it's that because there's a finite amount of resources, it invariably has to take away from how many other murders happened in Chicago that same night. How many other violent crimes
like
that same day?
Actual assaults. Yeah.
People getting beat up, people having their livelihoods stolen.
Yeah, but you got presidential candidates talking about it. They have to plug a million freaking dollars worth of resources into it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I feel like nobody knows what he's going to get sent if he's going to get prison time or whatever. I mean, some sort of like state comptroller should figure out like the actual dollar cost of all of that. Like calculate all the man hours. Like, all right, every cop is like what, like $60 an hour in terms of resources and gas, and you know what I mean. Like, and then
I think that's fair. Personally, I mean, especially probably he probably doesn't have all that kind of money, but he's gonna have to make it somehow. But I mean,
those famous people, they have like insurance for that kind of stuff. I don't know if he does, but
they got fake hate crime insurance.
Well, no, but okay. So, not to mention, I mentioned the show a million times, but the show about the Clinton Lewinsky scandal that I was watching.
Yeah,
there's a little blip subplot in there where Paula Jones is like they're trying to settle with her, and she's like, "Well, that sounds like a lot of money. It's like $700,000 or something like that." And then somebody says to her, "It's like Clinton's not paying a dime of that. All these politicians, they all have insurance that covers criminal liability and things and civil liability in situations like this. So people think like, oh, I'm going to sue this person. And it's like, yeah, but okay, granted, the money's nice. But if you want that extra satisfaction of knowing that person, that it hurts them, it doesn't. So, I'm sure that like top celebrities have that too.
Yeah, I wonder if like I would classify this dude as a B-list celebrity at
best.
Right. Like he could roll out the dumpster of like the VH1 like reality shows in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, look, how many shows are there?
Get into a fight with like Danny Bottaducci or something.
He shows up at a roast.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's what he's going to do. In 15 years, you're going to see the Comedy Central Friars Club presents the roast of Josie. And you get all the classic roast people. You get Nikki Glaser and all those people out there just ripping him a new one.
Yeah, I mean, that would work out really well. Bob Saget's up there flinging dick jokes that you're not aware.
Dude, some of those roasts are brutal.
They really are.
I think we talked about this before.
It's crazy that you would actually like the people that they're like, yeah, I'll sit there and take that punishment. Like, why
I
would
don't,
Justin Bieber do that?
and like Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I guess Martha Stewart needed the money after prison. So
Yeah.
with her silly reason she was in prison, but
Nikki Glazer
yeah.
is the queen of those roasts. Have you seen some of?
Dude, she's brutal. She's really funny. I think that's probably where we come. I think we've talked about Nikki Glazer before.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
Her stand up is pretty good, but not great. But her roasts are just like, it's so awkward. You're just like, oh my god.
Yep. It's
I feel like I'm gonna get like singed through the TV through the heat of that burn. You know what I mean?
that one hurt me. That hurt me personally.
Yeah.
I don't equate with this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right though. I mean, yeah, maybe he would. I don't know. But like, yeah, he doesn't have his job anymore. So
He needs to get Roman Polanski's publicist.
he's got to get something going on. I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll figure it out. There's still people out there that are probably very sympathetic to the guy.
He could write a book.
He could, if I did it, if I hoaxed it, that'd be
Yeah.
good. Him and OJ they can do a podcast.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious.
That's such a non sequitur. Be like, oh, another black guy who's famous for
The
crime.
juice
Yeah,
and the
OJ. That was
juicy.
it.
I don't know. You have to do some sort
The juicy, the juicy juice.
I'll have to workshop that title.
Oh man, that's so good. I gotta get back to the Photoshop. Try to make a poster for
Like,
that.
Kurt, hey.
Jussie and the Juice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Did I tell you about that? Like, there's that Hillary Clinton political thriller book coming out.
Yes. Or did you send me something on that?
I think I was telling you guys about it. Yeah.
I think I saw a screenshot of something.
The synopsis is hilarious.
So I couldn't tell if that was a joke. I literally thought that was like a Babylon Bee spoof.
No, it's
That's
literally
for
real.
real.
I didn't hear about it at all until I was walking through Target and Shayla was like, "Oh, I gotta get a copy of this book." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I'm sitting there. I just kind of casually glanced at the book jacket, and it's literally about it's about a woman who is in a presidential election, and the other person just barely wins, and then some sort of I can't remember exactly how it works now, but there's some sort of calamity where her and the other person have to kind of co-run the government or whatever, and then they're trying to uncover a conspiracy, and then like there's like this. It's hilarious.
The opponent's name in the book is Tronald Drump.
Frump. Yeah, I don't know.
Steve
Look, it may be a page turner. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure it's great. Yeah, I'm sure she wrote every minute of that too. There was no ghost writing at all in there.
Well, no, I mean, right on the front it says with co-written.
Oh.
So somebody else is working on the prose. So fair enough. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was all my ideas. They just put it together with characters, plots, and dialogue. And,
Yeah.
really painted my picture for me. It's good. Yeah, like that's a weird thing too. Like ghostwriting. That's a funny thing. Like people make a lot of money doing that, but then someone's like, "I want to write a book, but I can't write books. Will you help me write a book?" Like, sure. You can't put your name on it. Like, really? I mean, it's in there somewhere, but
Yeah. How do you get a career as a ghostwriter?
I don't know. I guess you're like a good editor.
Is there like
and
a
good-
secret list? You know what I mean? Amongst all the publicists that you're like, all right,
Yeah.
you're a celebrity. All right, well, what category? Okay, sports, movies. Okay, no. We got the right guy for you. He did LeBron's book. He did, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah, I guess so. I think maybe you just find someone who needs some help that's like on a lower level. If it takes off a little bit, you make a little bit of name recognition for yourself, then you can start marketing yourself as a ghostwriter. I guess. I don't know. It's like voice acting.
yeah.
Just that's what you do, Dan. You just got to get yourself a small little bit part,
I'm
and
gonna
then
do
you're
that.
always that guy. You've always had it on your resume, and you can just propel yourself into a voice acting career.
Yeah. I missed the boat on that one.
No, it's
There's
never
still
too
time.
late. For voice acting, you can do that well into your.
Maybe that should be
Mid-40s.
my retirement plan.
It should, yeah. Start working on your OJ. You can do the voiceover for OJ and the Jussie and the Juice. That'd be good. The animated series.
The later years. Make it like a buddy comedy. Like, say what? No, we gotta get that Chris Tucker to play. Say,
Wow, Chris Tucker, that guy fell off the face of the planet.
he should
hasn't
play
done anything.
OJ. Have you seen him recently? He looks like an old, he's put on some weight.
No, I haven't. Has he been around, Chris Tucker?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Rush Hour 3 he was kind of fat in that one.
Yeah, that was forever ago, though, right? Chris Tucker, 2021. I don't know. I got nothing. It's all pictures of him and Jackie Chan. Whatever. I guess he was looking a little old then, but whatever. I don't know. It was pretty funny. I think I watched one of those movies. I can't get into all that.
Yeah, I remember them being mildly entertaining.
First one was okay. I guess so.
They kind of run together in my head.
Yeah, Chris Tucker was in a bunch of stuff though, and he was always pretty funny. But he could play OJ.
They don't make a lot of buddy comedies anymore.
No, I guess not.
I mean, I guess the cliche of like the mismatched police partners. I mean, it's kind of been played out.
Yeah,
right. Like it started out as a serious thing. Like you got like 48 Hours. Like that movie's not funny at all. I mean, it's pretty uncomfortable. Like they really hate each other. Lethal Weapon. Like I guess because they were both charming and it had like a lighter side where they became friends, and then it became this thing. But then it became like, all right, well now we always got to have, there's a hothead, and then there's he always follows the rules. It's like he was 2 weeks from retirement. Like it became such an easy formula.
Yeah, true. I agree. I don't think there's been a lot of good theatrical comedy releases in a long time, really.
What was the last?
I mean, I'm sure there have been, but like, what's the last funny movie that came out that was actually funny? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, something that's legitimately hilarious.
Did you ever see Tag?
I've never even heard of it.
I think that was the last comedy it was like 2018. It was
yeah, go ahead.
It's actually a pretty funny setup. It's about this group of 4 dudes that have been playing the same game of tag for like 20 years. So at the beginning of the movie opens with this montage of like them tagging each other, and they show up at it never stops. They show up at like somebody else's wedding or a bar mitzvah or whatever. And so it's like these name actors. There's like what's his name, Hannibal Buress, and like Jeremy Renner plays the one guy who's never been tagged. So they have this. It's like a hangout movie. Like these 4 guys, they hatch this plan because he's getting married. They're like, all right, we're gonna finally tag Steve or whatever his name is, and it turns into this elaborate hijinks and stuff.
Like Tag. Is it Tag? That's it.
Yeah, like playing tag. Like tag, you're it.
How has he never been tagged? That seems like
he's so good. Like that's why it's kind of funny. It's Jeremy Renner. He's an action hero star, right? So like he always manages to get away.
Okay.
It sounds stupid. Now that I say it out loud, it sounds really stupid.
Him on the shoulder. I was like, that movie sounds terrible.
No, it's pretty good. It's funny.
Like all you gotta do is touch him. He's it. That's it. Like,
no, but they can't. He like always like jumps away or like
All right. Okay. Maybe it's good. But
point being, if that's the best thing I thought of
3 years ago, and it sounds like a terrible idea. But
granted, I haven't gone to the movies that much, but
neither have I. So actually, I'm a pretty bad example for this. So, but I'm just trying to think like, I don't know, like just a huge blockbuster comedy movie. Like you said, like a buddy comedy, like Step Brothers or something was really funny, and everybody seemed to like a big Will Ferrell movie. I'm not saying Will Ferrell. I'm just saying like a actor that's been doing a bunch of comedies. Like I can't even think of one that's like doing that stuff right now. Maybe it's just too serious of a time.
I'm sure there are examples, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they all suck though, and nobody cares. Also, the movies have been sparse lately, for sure.
Well, right. I mean, the whole industry's in a weird state of flux, right?
Right. So this is maybe just brain fart. It's a natural brain fart reaction to what's going on. So I don't know. Tag. Jeez. Okay. Good to know.
Who else was in that movie? I remember it being really funny.
Movie. This is what the show's coming to today. We're just Googling stuff as we talk. Yeah, open it up. Come on. Yep. John Hamm. Okay, I got you.
Oh, right. I forgot he was in that.
Ed Holmes is in it.
Oh,
Character's
right.
name is Hoagie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I remember it had a pretty impressive cast of people that makes you go like, okay, I would watch that movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in it. Hannibal Buress. People I recognize their faces, but if I say their name, I don't know who they are. So
Yeah.
whatever. I guess Ed Helms. Ed Helms has done a few movies, but I mean that's like A Hangover and stuff like that. And
Yeah, the last one of those came out in like 2013.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like I was trying to
Maybe
think
we're
of
just old. I don't know.
that might be it. Good Lord. I am coming up on 39. Woohoo. It's coming up sooner than later. When's your birthday?
March.
So you'll be 39?
I'll be 39, yeah.
39 March. Oh, we're not that far off. Mine's the end of January.
Yeah.
That's right. I know when your birthday is. Dramadan.
The annual observance of Dramadan. Dramadan synchronizes with the vernal equinox. You know, March 21st, 22nd, somewhere around that weekend. So it's an ancient tradition, really, that dates back to like the Druids celebrating this first day of spring and stuff.
Man, it's really just us connecting with nature and the universe.
Yeah,
all together.
The next T-shirt needs to have like Stonehenge or something on it.
We'll get there someday, maybe.
I was thinking about that. Like, there's a guy I know who plays guitar who's like, I don't know. I met him at a show, and he plays in a couple different bands, and he's a really good player. And I found out he was like just turning 21. I was like, you son of a bitch,
you bastard,
because he's so good. And then he's also like really nice. Like I met his family, like they're all super cool people, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. My time's over. Like, you know, like I'm not in the game anymore. This kid is like just starting out on the way up. And I'm over here just like, oh, I play Journey tunes. You know what I mean? Like in between my day job and kids and stuff. And I'm just like, all right.
Take him under your wing. You can be like, you can call him Rock. You can be like his trainer. Yeah, he's this crotchety old weird guy that pushes him to do things he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. I can't do Burgess Meredith's voices. I could do Stallone's voice. You know, yeah, that'd be funny.
Well, your own voice. I don't know. Well, then do it in Stallone. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah.
You don't got to be Mick.
You know, it's not about you play too many notes. You know. Anyway, sorry. Yeah,
that's more of a Schwarzenegger, but
yeah, I messed that one up.
You do just be a Fauci. Just be that kind of guy.
You know, it's not about just playing fast,
yeah,
or smartly. You know, we really have to consider the different ramifications of saying, you know, I'm not ready to make that call just
hey,
yet.
Listen,
you know?
I am the music. I am music. When you criticize my playing, you criticize me, music. Now play Love and Touch and Squeezing like I told you.
Now we need you to get to the working overtime part.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
It's the joke that keeps on giving.
I love it. Never gets old. Never gets old. When you can work it into a real life situation, that's when it's good. And like only like every now and again someone gets it. And you're just like, yeah. I'm glad
really nobody gets that joke.
I feel like I've used it once or twice and somebody's gotten it. Maybe so. I was walking. I have a Nuke the Whales shirt. This is like from like Nelson from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
he's got a poster, and like I was at Busch Gardens with it, and like literally like 3 people came up and they're like, like they did like the Nelson voice. They're like, nuke the whales, and like someone's like, you gotta nuke something. I was like, that's right. I'm glad you guys. Thank you. You're my people.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, I didn't think people would understand this at all. I had one girl at I think I might have told you this story. Hopefully I didn't do it here. At a garden center in town. I was wearing it, and like she was like very much a hippie, and she was a little offended by it. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, it's a stupid joke. I don't even want to get into it with you. Can I just buy this hydrangea and go? Like, I gotta buy a plant. I gotta get out of here.
I love the specificity of the hydrangea.
It wasn't.
They say that's the key to what makes a good joke, like a good anecdotal story, is like when you're riffing, say something specific. Not like, can I just buy this plant? No, like specifically turning it into a hydrangea. You know what I mean? Like if you make it, you tell some hilarious story, but like, yeah, the guy, and he says, what? So you can put a down payment on a car? Like, no, you got to. So you can put a down payment on a Chevelle. You know what I mean? Like taking nouns and making it's like the Nashville School of Songwriting. You know, you
Oh,
don't say like,
good to
so I
know.
got in my truck and I drove off. No, you got to say I got in my Ford and drove off.
Well, I feel like a fraud because I actually didn't buy a hydrangea there. I was actually buying a gift card for Sally to then go buy whatever plants she wanted to.
No, the
But
hydrangea part, you got to take
it
some
just
comedic
sounded funnier.
license to make the
Oh,
story
thank
funnier.
you. Yeah, okay, right. It was riffing. I wasn't lying. It was comedic license. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel better about it.
It's like maybe I didn't actually get beat up, but I felt beat up mentally.
The girl was offended by my T-shirt, though. I can tell you this, and she was a hippie, and she
Yeah.
stopped. She stopped while ringing me up to ask me about it. I was just like, "Are you going to finish this transaction, or do I have to explain to you what this is?"
She's like, declined.
Get the hell off my property! Like, you don't own this place. This isn't yours.
Well, that's like what Ted Nugent was talking about on Rogan the other day, where he was saying like all these chicks come up to him and like he said he was in like San Francisco. Some people come up to him in like a Starbucks and they're like, "You're shooting these animals," and then he's like, "I explain it to them, man," and they're always convinced. They go, "Oh, I never thought about it that way." You know, like killing animals it preserves the ecosystem and all that stuff.
Yeah, who would have thought Ted Nugent would be a voice of reason on anything? He'd be like, "I'm just going to calmly sit down and talk to this complete stranger for 5 minutes and try to explain to them the benefits of hunting." But good for him.
Yeah, I mean he's still crazy in some ways.
Yes,
but he's
probably
surprisingly
a lot of ways.
he's also incredibly intelligent. So and
Yeah.
he has he's good with words, like he's articulate, so he can explain himself well.
Yeah.
You know, and
I agree with
but he's a classic example of somebody who is very good at articulating things in their zone. But then once they get out of their zone, all of a sudden they're sort of fumbling, right? So like when you listen to him talk about music, you know, he can talk about like something that he knows that he really knows. He can talk about the evolution of this style and how these people influence these people, and he has this encyclopedic Rolodex of names and stuff. And when he talks about hunting, he knows that. He knows the ins and outs of the fairies. But then he starts talking about politics and he starts throwing out these grand phrases like, "Oh, they're ruining this and they're doing all this stuff." And it's like, okay, you know, stay in your lane. Nobody can be an expert at everything.
Right. So like he's got Second Amendment stuff down. He's good on that. Like he's good on a few topics. But you're right. Then when you start getting into like the greater the
things
macro,
that he doesn't have direct experience, which is normal.
everybody does that.
Right.
Yeah.
People think that and I find this, we've probably talked about this before, but like, I find it very interesting when you have somebody who's very good at one thing and they're in the zone where like, I'm really good at something. And then they go into something else, but they're still carrying that mindset. Like, I'm great at this. It's like, you don't have to be good at everything. Right. The best example is like when Ben Shapiro talks about movies. Like the man knows a lot about politics and the law and legal stuff, even if you disagree or agree on something. But as soon as he starts talking about movies, I'm like, you don't know movies. Why are you talking about this? Like, he just takes it he talks about movies the way Joe Sixpack talks about politics and like these broad terms. He's like, it was bad. It was good. You know?
Right.
It's like, just stick to your lane. You know, you're not a movie expert. You don't have the vocabulary. Anyway.
True. Speaking of non-experts, like this is us doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure this out. I heard this stat again. I've heard it like twice. And I meant to write it down. I meant to text you as soon as I heard it. I was going to look it up. But like the average length of people doing podcast shows, if you do more than like 14 or 15 episodes, you're like amongst like the top like 85 percentile of shows on iTunes, which sounds like a crazy stat. So there's probably like 10 billion podcasts out there though. So I mean, it's still, that's a lot of people that still have done them in their podcast and they're not there. So episode 31, we're doing pretty good.
Episode 31, Outpost 31.
Yeah. Oh, someone says they're a movie expert. Oh, are you, Jack Hofferman? Offer us some expertise. I can never tell. Are these people real?
I don't
Probably
know.
not. I don't think so.
That name
is that a
could
Russian
be-
bot?
You look at it like that sounds like a made up name. That's like a made up name from like a detective novel. Detective Jack Offerman.
No,
Never
it's
played
Jack
by the
Offer.
rules.
Here you go, Dan. It's Jack Offerman.
Oh
It's-
god, I
it's-
didn't even
it's
notice
definitely a
that
fake
from.
name. It is a fake name.
It's like, what was that old Green Day poster? Remember from like the back in the day, and it had all these like fake names, like Amanda Hug and Kiss and all that stuff. Like
Yeah. I don't remember that poster, but
it was in like Hot Topic or one of those places.
that's fair. I don't know why I thought of this clip or something. It was just like I went and found it. I just forgot how funny it was. It was like from Tommy Boy, no, Black Sheep, when he's driving David Spade across in the cop car and like the nitrous like splits and like he gets pulled over as he's doing like 7 miles an hour and he thinks he's like speeding or whatever. But he's like he like David Spade does that. He turns down and he's like, shut up. He's like, what's wrong with him? He's like, this guy's a real sicko. He's like, he's won in like 7 counties. He like screwed 7 chickens or killed 7 chickens and screwed a beagle. And he's just like, what? He's like, what's your name? He's like, Officer, me off. He's like, Jack me off. And he turns around and he goes, Jack me off. I was like, oh God, Chris Farley's so funny. But like,
is that the same scene where they get all high and they're saying like, road's a funny word?
Right. Yeah.
Road.
Yeah. Right. They're in the car and they're talking. And he's in the back. Yeah. But like, he's like, how fast you were going? He's like, I had to be going like 90 tops. He's like 7. You're going 7 miles an hour. He's like, can you get this sicko across the state a little faster?
Yeah. What was the that reminds me, like, I'm gonna tell the joke wrong, but it's like there's a bunch of different versions of it where it's like you're talking to like it was like a Greek like restaurant owner or something, like, yeah, I make gyros for 40 years. They don't call me Miko the gyro maker, right? This guy, he makes candles for his life. They don't call him Sin the candle maker, right? But you fuck one goat. It's just like a perfect setup, and
that is good. That is pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway,
we went we're a little bit more than PG-13 on this episode. Apparently.
Yeah, nobody's watching.
That's okay. There's one guy right there, one person, and it's Jack off her man, middle name Lynn. Apparently, whatever that means.
All right.
I can't see the picture caption. It's too tiny. I want to read it, but I can't. Can you see that?
Something photos with a dude. I can't quite read it.
Nah, that's
Let me maximize my.
Oh, sorry. Go for it. See if you can find it for me.
Boudoir photos with a dude. So, what?
Boudoir photos.
I don't know what that
Oh,
yeah.
Oof. I haven't done one of those calendars yet.
Hopefully it never sees the light of day.
No, if I do it, I'm just sending it to you and Jeremy. You're the only one getting it.
But you got to like wrap it in like Christmas wrapping, so it just gets put under the tree with all the other stuff. Like, what is this, Dad?
So it's open up in the morning with all the kiddos, and it's real awkward. Yeah, that'd be good.
It's an advent calendar, sweetie.
It's the Boys of Atlantic Glass, but it's just Dave.
Boys spelled with a Z.
Oh yeah. That would not work out. Hey, all right, we're coming up on an hour here. We've been rambling a while. I see it's a good time to stop, maybe, if that's all right.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Next week, you want to do a show pre-Christmas? Do a Christmas spectacular.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out later.
What could our topic could be something about what constitutes a Christmas movie?
Okay, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Hang on. Is this a legit question? Wow, where is this pod out of? So, North Carolina. There you go. Oh, never mind. This guy. We get so few interactions with people. We might as well just.
One day when
All
the
right.
robots take over.
All right, Jack, you win. Well done, sir.
Eventually, AI is going to develop to the point where AI makes their own websites that gets infiltrated by bots, and then it's like robots versus robots. That's
that'll
like
show 'em.
it's a Futurama episode.
That is a Futurama episode.
The robots created their own robots, and they took over. Anyway, all right.
All right, and we are out.
Actually, that's a great setup.
Did it
for a
again.
sci-fi
He's still
movie.
talking to us. That's not good. Jeez, this guy.
No, but seriously, you could have like a sci-fi thing where it's like people versus like the robots they created to take over, and then the twist at the end is that the people were all robots the whole time that were created by earlier people.
It's man.
It's a cook.